Fantasy novels and stories are known for their magic, the way the world building immerses you in incredible settings that can be fascinating and terrifying, with people and places that would never show up in reality. They take you to distant lands, to battling with monsters and making unlikely friendships. Normally, fantasies follow a main character who makes a couple of friends who follow them for their entire journey. These are the people they come to rely on, develop close bonds with, and rarely spend time apart from. This has been a standard method of storytelling, following the hero's journey and showing up in many middle grade and young adult novels. But what if you want to create those feelings without the stereotypical close friend group? Wouldn't it be interesting to see how your character develops outside the norms, learning how to get along with a greater variety of people? The isekai genre explores this, and Ascendance of the Bookworm takes it to the next level. While fantasies focus on the hero's success through overcoming conflict through friendship and strength, the general length of isekai stories, among other light novels, allows for a more winding route. Bookworm seems to bring the two ideas together, incorporating isekai elements such as reincarnation, mana, and exaggerated abilities, with the complex character relationships that traditional fantasy novels tend to succeed in. I believe it is this combination that allows Ascendance of a Bookworm to successfully create a memorable cast of characters who all play a key role in not just driving the story forward, but providing meaning to it as well. In this video, we will talk about how Bookworm manages its cast of characters to create a cohesive and memorable story. Natural introductions. The story of Ascendance of a Bookworm begins with Mine being a young commoner girl who, being sickly, only lives and interacts with her family, only meeting others once she is well enough to go outside, seen during part 1 of the light novels. Being young, it's only natural she doesn't know many people outside her family yet. The small circle of people around her for the first 3 books also allows her to get to know them better and to develop strong bonds with them. Her family are the ones who she learns about her new world from and the new habits she needs to adopt to fit into society rather than relying on her past life knowledge, as well as the ones who accept her quirks and take care of her first, cementing them as the people she is emotionally closest to. This sets the precedent for Mine as a character, having different levels of familiarity and closeness to others, which determines how much she opens up to them. The reader can understand Mine's emotional closeness to characters through how childishly or seriously she behaves with them, adding a layer of complexity by exploring the dynamics of natural familial relationships versus the strategic and political relationships Mine has with other characters. In this way, the author creates relationships which develop naturally over the plot. Gradually expanding the cast. Another way the character cast is managed is by gradually expanding it over the 5 parts of the series. As Rozemyne's status increases, the number of characters she must interact with frequently does so too, and she also moves into different circles where past companions can no longer go, for instance her move from the temple to nobility. The number of nobles assigned to Rozemyne as retainers changes throughout the series, and she gradually gains more as she works through personal and political challenges. Her time at the Royal Academy also means she becomes exposed to nobles of other duchies, becoming more relevant in later parts of the series. However, rather than completely abandoning the people she once interacted with, the former parts of Rozemyne's life connect to her future, so that she still needs to talk with them occasionally, though this decreases once her status becomes too high for this to be feasible, as evidenced by her interaction with the Gutenbergs. Therefore, the number of characters increases through gradually expanding Rozemyne's connections, expanding the main cast. While she does meet many people on one-off occasions, these people don't count as part of the cast with strong connections to Rozemyne, in my opinion. All characters serve a purpose. All the characters in Ascendance of a Bookworm have a function, whether they take care of Rozemyne, helping her with her bookmaking goals, or viewing her as an enemy, tool, or curiosity. All the characters mentioned are linked to her, and their central importance to her goals requires frequent meetings. Rozemyne interacts with different groups of people at a time based on her duties or desires, for instance her family, members of the planting company, her temple attendants, the archducal family, her retainers, the library committee, and royalty. Considering how much time she spends with each group of people, Ferdinand could also be categorized as such due to the number of one-on-one conversations they have had. These groupings make it easier to remember characters compared to stories where the main character meets a lot of people but they are forgotten as they aren't interacted with or become relevant again. Not only that, but all the characters in Ascendance of a Bookworm have clearly defined roles, making it easier to add or remove characters if they are needed in a scene or not. As an example, the character Frida from Mine's days as a commoner acts as a comparative figure to Mine, highlighting how society views her behaviour as abnormal, especially for someone of her status, as her knowledge is more comparable to a well-educated girl. She is also used to explain Mine's mana sickness, to expose her knowledge of sweets and confectionery, and to act as a temptation to live a more comfortable life. While Frida's feisty nature may be somewhat off-putting to the reader, she was a necessary character to push Mine to strive for her goals. Survival of the fittest. Bookworm has a vast and expansive universe, but at the centre of the story is the protagonist Rozemyne, and due to this the characters featured in the main story are only kept on to meet her needs. Characters who adapt to meet Rozemyne's needs remain plot relevant and are seen more frequently, or they are cut off, for example Traugot. This is also reflected when the character cast changes. For instance, Rozemyne doesn't meet her craftspeople as much, when her noble duties take priority and she has to interact with higher ranking dukies more frequently. Characters who are the most important to Rozemyne are recalled at intervals and never leave the plot entirely, for instance Lut and her lower city family. This is due to Rozemyne incorporating them into key parts of her life, allowing them to interact even if indirectly. This contrasts with characters who play key roles but are difficult to work with, for instance Heidi, who mainly appeared in scenes involving ink making but didn't appear later. She was also kept off screen due to her hyperactivity, which was unsuitable for meetings with nobles, so despite not being shunned, she was still indirectly removed from the cast. Comparisons to other fantasy novels. In Harry Potter and Percy Jackson, we follow the main character and two or more side characters at any given time, being introduced to different characters in various settings as their journeys continue. Bookworm was intentionally made similar to Harry Potter in the Royal Academy arc, but Rozemyne's independent, goal-driven nature and her status as an Archduke candidate didn't really allow anyone, apart from Hannelore, to become close friends with her. Similar to the two series, Ascendance of a Bookworm has a Bildungsroman-style story, where we watch as the character grows up through the series. Where Bookworm stands apart is its willingness to delve into topics that are sensitive in a realistic way, not automatically leaning into tropes where friendship solves all problems, and also delving into moments of self-accountability for actions. This gives it a more mature tone, even though it is suitable for younger readers. The author's methods. This has been discussed in a previous video, but most information on Kazuki-sensei's character creation is related to her world building. She has said that she prefers to plan each part on paper and use overarching plots and subplots to connect the story. She also thought of each character in terms of roles rather than their names or appearance at first, though all surrounding the idea of Mine being the main character. We know from the fan books that each character is designed to have their own goals and motivations, distinctive character designs that match their personalities, and from the side stories, we can tell that the other characters are not idle in the background while the main story is being told. From this, I believe her character creation process was driven by their necessity for certain scenes, and the ideas behind them inspired by other novels and the author's own life experiences. Conclusion. In conclusion, to answer the question of how Ascendance of a Bookworm handles such a large cast of characters, it's evident the author used multiple layers to create depth and continuation, exploring natural familial relationships, increasing the number of characters present to reflect status, and introducing new characters only when necessary for character or plot development. Characters are not treated as one-dimensional figures, but rather complex people with their own goals and motivations, which makes interactions with the protagonist more complex, rather than just having antagonists to defeat. Rather than being a stereotypical fantasy series, Bookworm's emphasis on character relations from different angles, such as personal and political, makes it more akin to high fantasy, though themes such as good versus evil are not explored in such black and white terms. Overall, it is the author's detailed method of plotting and interweaving different themes that makes the story so compelling.